is freezing outside. We currently have a feels like temperature of -13 degrees, so I thought it's the perfect day to make fruit leather from the foraged persimmons that we got. These are from different areas. As you can see, the color varies. That is still frozen. I'm waiting for that to thaw. All of this has been ran through a chinois to make it very pulpy and smooth. I'm gonna add just a little bit of honey. You don't need a lot with these American persimmons, the wild ones, because they are already super duper sweet. Flavor for these varies too. This brown bag over here tastes more like brown sugar, but they're all very sweet. And I'm gonna take a shot at making fruit leather with them. So we'll see how it goes. I eyeball everything, so you're gonna need a decent amount of pulp. I'm gonna use definitely these 2 bags and probably a portion of this bag for this pan over here. You'll need parchment paper for the baking sheet, and I like to overlap it a little bit so that when I'm pouring the mixture down here, it goes up to the side too, and we don't have an issue with it sticking. You will also need a mixing bowl and either an egg beater, or if you're really wanting to put your back into it, you can get a whisk. We just want to get it as smooth as possible. You can heat it as you're doing it or not. I'm gonna opt out of heating this today and just smooth it out here with a spoon. I put our persimmon puree in here. You can see the difference in color really now that it's out of the bag. I'm just gonna push it down a little bit. I have a sneaking suspicion because I have a tendency to use shallow bowls for mixing. So we'll see if this sprays everywhere or if we get it, if we get to keep everything that's in this bowl. I probably should change it, but I'm gonna put a little bit of honey. Cheap stuff is fine. I'd love to get raw honey, but man, it is expensive now. So I just went with the cheapo kind. Not a lot because this stuff is already really sweet. This is just a little extra. See, we're already getting that very smooth consistency. And I do want to go ahead, this is just impulse. I just want to throw maybe a squeeze of lemon juice in here. With the persimmon, it really brings out that persimmon flavor. You don't get any of the lemon, just a lot more of the persimmon. That's what we do with our jam. I'm just gonna put a little bit of a spritz of lemon in here, and I think it's really gonna pop off when I do that, so I'll be right back. All right, got our lemon, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of a spritz in there. Not a lot, just enough to really bring out that flavor. All right, I'm gonna beat that again. That is what you want right there. That's beautiful. I did say I wasn't going to heat this earlier, but I think I might take that back. This stuff is just so thick. I'm gonna pop it in the microwave for just a little bit. Usually you do this on the stovetop, but since we're not adding any sugar or dissolving anything really, we're just trying to get it a smooth consistency. I might throw just a little tiny bit of water in there. This is becoming an impulse recipe, isn't it? I will be back. I put it on for a minute, but I didn't even keep it in there the full minute. And look, that is just a lot more manageable. Also want to point out that your foraged persimmon puree might not look like this. It's gonna depend on the consistency. We've noticed that on different patches, you're gonna get different flavors. So this is a mixture of a few different patches in one. Some of your mixtures might be more of a dark brown and look more congealed because it has more pectin in the fruit. Some of them might look more like this, where you have more of the fibery persimmons in there. It doesn't mean they're not ripe. They have no more astringency or anything like that. Don't be discouraged if your persimmon puree does not look like this, because it's gonna look different depending on location. It just really varies. Now I'm going to plop this onto a baking sheet. I personally am gonna put my oven on 150, but you can do anywhere from 150 to 200, but the cooking time is gonna vary a little bit. And depending on how thick your slather is, I don't know if that's the right word, but that's what I'm gonna say. Just a little tip, a lot of you guys probably know this, but if you can't get your parchment paper to stick to the baking sheet because it curls, just throw a little bit of olive oil or some cooking spray and then press your parchment paper on top. Look at that. It's beautiful. Try to avoid that if you can. The crinklage, I kind of messed up there, but it's all good. Depending on how thick you want your fruit leather, you can do this anywhere from like 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. I am going to smooth this out a little bit more. I know it looks a little thick, a little crazy, but you do what feels right to you. I did a lot of puree today, so I'm probably gonna have a little bit left over. What I did last night with the persimmons, and it blew my friggin' mind. My partner wanted me to make a persimmon glaze for the ham we had sitting in our freezer, and I was a little intimidated because when these cook, they turn really dark, like they look almost unappetizing sometimes. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll try. Let me tell you, I am so mad I didn't record it. It was the most delicious, I'm not exaggerating, the most delicious glaze we've ever had. I mean, this was off the chain. So anything left over that I have, I'm going to make another glaze. We have a little bit of a lamb roast in there, so I'm gonna make a glaze for the lamb. You're gonna put this in your preheated oven. I'm gonna check on this in about 2 hours. You're just gonna want the top to be sticky and it to be a little flexible. I'll show you what it's gonna look like when it's ready. Again, I've never done this with the persimmons before, and so we're going on this journey together. We'll see how it actually turns out once it's done. Hopefully it's delicious. You'll have to forgive me because my oven doesn't have a light. We're about 2.5 hours in at 150. As you can see, it's starting to curl up. It's still not quite as dry as I want it to be. I'm gonna give it another 30 minutes, check on it. It'll probably take, honestly, about another hour before it's ready. Here's the fruit leather out of the oven. You can see this area that was looking darker earlier is definitely a little thinner than the rest of the sheet, so it got a little toasty. Here it is. I'm gonna slice it. I'm gonna try to do that after it cools down a little bit. So I sliced off a piece of this, and I have just got to say that this is really, really friggin' good. We are trying to cut out sweets right now, so this is really good to satisfy your sweet craving. Let's take another bite of that. That is delicious. I'm just gonna make little snack strips and put them in bags for whenever I have a sugar craving. I'm pretty impressed with this. I honestly wasn't sure if it was gonna work because persimmons are such a unique texture, but man, this turned out really, really good. I can't wait for Leonard to try it. And here is what we're left with. The fruit leather turned out really, really good with the persimmon. You can see it's all floppy. Probably could have rolled this, but I felt better about just keeping it as is, so it's pretty snackable. And again, we put very little honey in this, so there is not a lot of added sweetener. You really don't need it. I probably could have kept the honey out entirely, but I'm not upset I did it. This is a real treat, really yummy, and super rewarding to bring home your fruit, spend forever processing it, and then come out with this. Here's a pretty shot. I am obsessed with this stuff. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep going on about this. I can't wait to share it with my friends and my family. Turn these guys into this. I feel like a poker player. Just wanted to show how flexible and awesome this stuff is. One more flex test. Highly recommend. And do it if you can. If you ever come across these persimmons on your hikes or in your backyard even, I highly recommend picking them, run them through a chinois, and then make this fruit leather. Hey guys, thank you for checking out our video. We really appreciate you watching and hope that you will give it a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you'd like to see more from us in the future. We are so grateful for our recent subscribers and look forward to you all joining us in our adventures. Stay safe, have a great day, and happy foraging!